This is something that my own teams that I led detected. I know firsthand that these people smuggling networks are being exploited by extremist organisations to bring extremists into Europe, Scandinavia, the United Kingdom, with the purpose of directly or indirectly committing terrorist attacks against our populations. A lot of migrants in Northwest Africa, not just in Morocco, are going to be looking at what's already happened, the mass breach of the border with Ceuta, as an example of what can be done. That breach was almost certainly both initiated and enabled, coordinated, triggered by other entities, whether organised crime or whatever. They will undoubtedly be trying to encourage further movement by marketing it as the last opportunity. And the reason for that is that the most successful way of breaching that border, and other borders indeed, is by weight of numbers, concentration of numbers, overwhelm the border controls, the personnel on the borders, and getting through in that way. And if the criminals can demonstrate success, then actually it won't be the last chance. The criminals will then be able to market it again and say, look, this is what we can do. It's a marketing ploy on the part of those who are orchestrating this, just as a travel agency will, provide sort of last minute cheap deals. The criminals use very similar marketing techniques. Regarding Russia's involvement potentially in this, I can't say with certainty that Russia is involved. There are many indications that Russia or another hostile state may be involved. And I say hostile because if a state is behind this sort of movement, it is certainly not benign. It is a hostile act. Russia itself has the capability to mobilize in Morocco and the surrounding area, the Sahel, the Maghreb, Niger, Mali, and so on, all of that sort of whole region. They have got the ability to project through social media. They have connections. Their intelligence agencies have connections with organized crime groups. And there are irregular, if you like, private military companies, of the Russian private military companies that have a footprint in that region as well. So Russia certainly has the capability to do this. Does it have the intent? Well, the Russian Federation is under severe pressure in Ukraine. A lot of the reason for that is European support for the Ukrainians in the war against Russia. Russia has a very long history of trying to distract the supporters of their opponents, redirect diplomatic, political, security, and resource effort from supporters of its opponents by doing this sort of thing. Is it likely that Russia is behind this? I would say it is indeed quite possible. The capability is there. The intent, I'm pretty certain, to distract European powers is certainly there. Are they behind this? Well, if I was still working in intelligence, I would absolutely be considering this as one of the primary sources that I would want to investigate, as to the initiation, the orchestration, the coordination of the breach of the border in Ceuta. But it also would make me look at other areas. And one of the reasons that Russia would do this, to think of it as the Eye of Sauron in The Lord of the Rings. They will try to divert our attention to other places other than where they are actually more dangerously active, perhaps. So whilst we're looking at what's going on in Northwest Africa and Morocco and so on, and the Spanish borders down there, then they may well be up to something else somewhere else. So we need to look very, very carefully. So I would be looking at all of this, and I am quite convinced, quite certain that that the relevant agencies are indeed looking at that. I would hope so. If they're not, I'd want to know why not. Some years ago, when I was leading intelligence and tactical teams to disrupt transnational organised crime in the southern Balkans region, quite large region I covered, my teams detected the infiltration into people smuggling networks of extremists. They were infiltrated by an extremist, Islamic extremist organization into people smuggling networks, with those extremists smuggled into it, taking on the mantle, if you like, of economic migrants, who would then be moved through the people smuggling, people trafficking routes into Europe and Scandinavia, in order to then not actually carry out terrorist attacks, but to recruit people in those countries to do so. That's not something I've read. It's not a report I've read or something that a think tank has come up with. This is something that my own teams that I led detected. So I know firsthand that these people smuggling networks are being exploited by extremist organizations to bring extremists into Europe, Scandinavia, the United Kingdom, with the purpose of directly or indirectly committing terrorist attacks against our populations. Our governments know this. Our governments still fail to take robust action, and I think that's a total abrogation of their duty, their first and primary duty to their populations, their people, their citizens. It's rather proved the concept that sufficient concentration of people in time and place can overwhelm border controls. And that doesn't just apply to Ceuta. It applies to any land border, pretty much anywhere. And so whilst if we're talking about if it is criminal gangs, or if it's sort of in some way geographically limited and focused at the moment on the Moroccan-Ceutan border, then other criminals, other entities will be looking, and I say entities, other maybe hostile and not so benign states and agencies may be looking at this and saying, you know what, actually it worked down there, maybe we can do it somewhere else. We can do it in our area, our part of Europe, or wherever it may be. My view has long been that the only way to safeguard the British people in this sort of respect is to detain securely every single person who enters the United Kingdom illegally, until such time as we can prove their identity, we can vet them properly, or such time as they decide to voluntarily leave the country and go back to wherever they came from. So and that is the only way we can keep the British public safe. And I would suggest that the European Union should do similar. But the problem is facing the European Union, that they have a much bigger problem because they've got much larger borders.